So, hi there. Been a bit and I got some more hot takes and bad reviews for you guys today. So, Rex J says, most areas look the same, bonfire after every 5 mins, linear level design, less build variety than 1 and 2, less invasions than 1 and 2, overly difficult DLC, skip.
No.
Average meta enjoyer says, if this game played by the same rules as the player or vice versa, it'd be okay at best. Otherwise, play Elden Ring or avoid this company at all costs. This game is overall very fair to the player. You have plenty of items to help you, plenty of weaponry, and plenty of armor. Upgrading weaponry and a bunch of items in exploration that increase health restored by Estus Flask, as well as the amount of uses. Also, when you say company, do you mean Bandai or FromSoft? Cosmos Weakest says, I know a lot of people are in love with this series, but it just isn't fun for me. There's a thin line between hard and frustrating, and this game is just frustrating. There's no sense of accomplishment as for a hard era. There's only relief. All games should have difficulty options. I don't care what these so-called elitist kids say. These developers do not care, and they ignore a number of huge potential buyers. Do they realize there are older gamers, people who are just bad at fast games, or even handicapped gamers? Nope, these people are not allowed to play this. Easy mode wouldn't hurt anyone. It would only make some people happy. But why play it then if you don't like it, you ask? Well, this game has amazing atmosphere, lore, music, and wonderful art style, so maybe people want to play it for these things. But the whole series is marketed on insanely difficult games, and this creates toxic elitist community on top. If there's only relief and no sense of accomplishment, then it's pretty clear to me that you're playing this game not because you want to, but because you think it please the community. And by the way, those people are the vocal minority. What I wish to point out is how you lump everyone who plays these games in with those people, and people who think this game doesn't need a difficulty setting, and the people who are toxic are separate, not mutually exclusive. The developers do not need to cater towards everyone, and your argument is grasping at straws considering you never mention having any issues or being old or being handicapped. These games were made for a specific audience. It will not and does not need to cater towards you. You're a fucking gamer.
Learn to adapt.
You do this with many other games. Why not this one? That's a rhetorical question, by the way.
I already know the answer.
You don't play this game for the lore or any of that, because if you did, there'd be nothing to complain about.
You're salty that you suck at this game.
And just so we're clear, this game already has an intended difficulty.
It does not need a difficulty option.
I got this from Humble Bundle after playing Dark Souls 2. I managed to finish that one somehow, and DS3 looked prettier and had much better level design, overall look, and mood, so I thought, why not? I'll activate my key. And then the frustration started. I had absolutely zero fun with this. All those things I mentioned, like lore, atmosphere, music, I forgot about them after a couple of hours and stopped caring about them because frustration makes it impossible to pay attention to. You just run through the levels while fighting extremely cheap and overpowered enemies. They always have more health, no stamina system, and they hit harder than you, and often ambush you and put you in impossible situations. Basically, there are a few types of enemies only. They have different textures, but they all have the same moves and patterns. Worst thing is that if you die, you must go through the level again. Unlike in DS2, you can't get rid of enemies here. Another stupid decision. DS2 was at least playable because of that. Sure, they have more health, but that hardly matters when an enemy is easy to kill. A majority of them aren't even overpowered at all. I've recently went back through this entire game, and it was surprisingly easy, barring the DLC areas, of course. You should try a bit harder to adapt to this game, because a majority of this is complaining that you have a massive
skill issue.
Enemies do not have stamina, but that's like saying they had infinite combos, when
no, they don't.
They have combos that end, and patterns to those combos.
Learn how to read them.
The ambushes are not often, you just keep falling for the same ones. This is called
trial and error.
Try learning from it. If you seriously think Dark Souls 2 is only playable because the enemies eventually stop respawning, that's a skill issue. Controls are okay-ish, it's janky and unresponsive, you can easily fall, your inputs have intentional delay to make it hard to react, rolling doesn't work half of the time, shields should help, huh? Nope, shields worked as intended in DS2, but here shields barely help. You don't have any special moves or skills, can't even jump. You only need to press a button at the right time, 0-1 seconds too early and too late, and you get hit and caught in a series of non-stop attacks. The controls are not janky and unresponsive, that's any Souls game before Bloodborne, so notably your beloved Dark Souls 2. If you fall off edges so much, here's an idea.
Watch your fucking feet.
The only reason you say rolling doesn't work half the time is because you can't time it properly, which is
your fault, a skill issue.
Shields do in fact help. It should be fucking obvious why, and if you don't use all of your tools to your advantage, then
what the fuck are you doing?
About the special skills,
you're wrong.
Weapon arts exist in Dark Souls 3. You can activate these by two-handing your weapon and pressing L2. You can jump, it just doesn't have a designated button. Hold circle and move in a direction and press down on the left analog stick. Also, complaining about fucking up a dodge roll? Seriously?
I need you to get good.
It's clear to me that you ignored most of this game. You have plenty of things like items and upgrading your stats and weaponry, and you act like none of that exists and then say upgrading your stats barely does anything when
yes, it does.
And that basically proves you have no idea how to play an RPG, so I'm ignoring the rest of your review like you did this game. Come to make an announcement says, why do people even like this game? It's so god awful. You only have 9.6 hours.
I come to make an announcement. Shadow the Hedgehog's a bitch-ass motherfucker.
Alright, I'll be real with you. I have this scripted as some Japanese text Joe. I can't write Japanese, but I'm sure this is a translated name because the review is in English. So here we go. One of the worst games I've ever played. Range attacks of all kinds are almost useless. Hope you want to play Ninja Knight because that's all you can really do. Lock-on, non-lock-on combat system is just awful and feels the same as Demon Souls to me. All the bosses just bored me to death. The only interesting boss in the game literally just ruined how to fight it by telling me what to do. The multiplayer stuff is honestly just in the way of the experience of the game. Not only are all the bosses boring, though many have very cool art, direction, etc., they are often not on screen or so large you can't actually see what they are doing and when to react to things. So again, it's like playing Ninja Knight and dodge rolling everything, as silly as it looks. Ranged attacks are not useless. Arrows and spells work quite well. Also, what do you mean ninja? You can legit run up to most of the enemies and slash them and they die. Lock on, non-lock on? Wait. Excuse me? The fuck do you mean? Do you go up to enemies without locking onto them? That's a horrible idea. Also, if the lock-on system is awful, maybe stop turning it on and off and just turn it on when you see enemies. That's it. Also, if the bosses bored you, I'm confused because you have 84.7 hours and you had any of that time to stop playing the game. Also, the game doesn't tell you how to defeat bosses. I don't even know where that came from. And multiplayer takes away from the experience. How exactly?
Mind you guys.
This was posted on February 26, where the servers work now and all that, so I don't get how it detracts from that experience. Often not on screen or so large you can't see them.
For fuck's sake, have you tried moving your camera? Are you by any chance blindfolded while playing?
And no, it's not ninja. This isn't like ninjas at all. A dodge roll versus Naruto shit, dodge rolling would fail. Biotic Bronchitis says, I love the Soul series. I played them all for hours on end. Even this one you'll find I've sunk over 300 hours into. But 299 of those hours were spent lying to myself. I was happy that soul memory was gone and that the password system had made it in, but the password system wasn't the only thing they took from Bloodborne. The combat system functions more like Bloodborne than Dark Souls. Dark Souls was about being cautious, time blocking, and stamina management. Now it's about being fast and aggressive. That works in Bloodborne, but Dark Souls 3 gives you the tools to play cautiously like other Souls entries, but encourages that you play fast and aggressive. There are many risks to playing slowly and carefully, such as being guard broken or being overwhelmed, but all these risks can be negated by abusing the powerful dodge roll. It costs little stamina and has incredible frames, which can further be buffed by rings. You actually don't even have 300 hours at this time of review. That says a lot about how fucking stupid this review of yours is going to be, especially since your next sentence says that you spent time lying to yourself, despite that being literal fucking hypocrisy. Because you have 387.5 hours total. Not even I have that many hours on this game. The combat system is still very much Dark Souls. It's just faster than the previous entries. This is called being
A modern video game.
especially since you said Dark Souls is about being cautious, time blocking, and stamina management.
Dark Souls 3 has all these things.
You do not need to be aggressive in how you play at all. And you also said here that Dark Souls 3 gives you these tools which counters your dumbass argument. And every Dark Souls has the dodge roll mechanic. Using this in Dark Souls 3 is not an abuse of your power. You want to know what I think?
I'm gonna beat it into you.
Jokes aside, this entire part here is literal vomit speech. It's completely childish. The plot is a mess. Time is convoluted in lore drawn, is what we're told, but that statement can be used to answer most lore questions. There are a few interesting character quest lines, and these really shine. When the game isn't appealing to your nostalgia by directly and unironically referencing the previous games is where Dark Souls 3 perks up. But then they recycle a theme, location, or straight up character, and the game shrugs its shoulders and says, time is convoluted, but isn't it cool that they're here? The DLC does little to bring anything new, content to wallow in nostalgia. They even go as far to make a certain boss painfully similar to a Bloodborne boss. Anything new is shoved aside and concluded poorly to focus on references. Alright, I'm stopping this right here because it's just completely fucking false. Get your game right. This is Dark Souls 3. It takes place in Lothric, not in Lordran. Time is convoluted in Lordran is a line from Solaire from Dark Souls 1, and sure, time is convoluted in Lothric too, but there's a lot more to it than that, and saying time is convoluted is not a line that can be used to answer any lore questions. I'm linking a video down below explaining all of this because time is convoluted is part of the entire Dark Souls lore. The rest of the saying this game is just a trip down memory lane is some of the biggest fucking horseshit I've ever heard, and makes me think that you severely misinterpreted this game, and what you're doing is not constructive criticism at all. It's saying shit and acting like you're right when you've got no fucking clue what you are talking about. Dark Souls 3 is part of the Dark Souls series. You concluding it as references only points out you ignored this game and act like it has nothing to do with Dark Souls when it does. There are so many things that disprove you. Like for instance, we only have one place that reappears from Dark Souls, and that's Anor Londo. Aside from that, there's no recycled areas, and the only recycled character is Patches, which is in every Souls game. Spoiler alert,
That the last boss
is the
literal fucking soul of Cinder. Hello?
There's no replayability in Dark Souls 3. There is absolute replayability and different classes and NG Plus for those specific needs. Stat reworks as well. And Orchestra has a fit while a woman goes, sums up most of the tracks in the game. Your take on the music is one of the most ignorant, dumbass takes I've ever heard. A lot of the bosses are just nostalgia pandering, easily defeated by rolling through their attack and attacking. As for the bosses, nostalgia pandering my ass. What a fucking joke that take is. You act like you didn't dodge roll their attacks in the other Dark Souls games, despite the fact that we all fucking did. Because that's part of the core fucking gameplay loop. Your entire explanation is nothing but fucking drivel and takes away from the fights entirely and the game. I've said enough.
Anyway,
that's the end of the video. Hope you all enjoyed and hope this was insightful and entertaining for you.